Hello, I'm Bob Rose. Welcome to this tutorial on Philomela by Dorothy Pilling. This is from ABRSM Grade 5, 2023-2024. Really, really gorgeous piece. Love this piece. It's very, very similar to Ravel, and in particular, it's very, very similar to a piece by Ravel from a set of pieces called Miroir, called Oiseau Triste. Apologies for I'm always apologizing in these videos for my terrible accents, but basically sad birds in French. I think it's really relevant to look at this original Ravel piece. So relevant. You've got this bird song which goes, and by the way, it's been a long time since I've played this piece, so I'm not going to play it amazingly. But this is the bird song in Oiseau Triste. Oh, my key's sticking. My apologies. This annoying piano's got sticking keys at the bottom, so I've loosened them up. Bird call. So basically, in this piece, the bird call consists of two things. It consists of repeated notes that go, and the first one is marked with an accent, and then and they're both marked staccato, so it's like staccato, staccato, but the first one's louder. But they're all caught in the pedal. So I'm going to keep going backwards and forwards between these two pieces. But what's really interesting about the comparison, and there's a lot of comparisons between these two, and I'm going to go backwards and forwards. So firstly, Philomela, it's a Greek myth. It's a woman who gets turned into a bird, and we've got this same this two-note call, which then does something else, and then back to the two call. So it's like, and then back to the two notes. So here, Philomela. Now, I've already recorded this as a performance on YouTube, and I wish I'd looked at the Ravel. I mean, I knew the Ravel, I've played it before, but I didn't actually open the book and look at the Ravel, and which is quite annoying because in the Ravel it's so obvious that the first of the two notes is louder. So when I performed it, I actually sort of did it. The marking here is staccato, which I basically took to mean you go up on the staccato and then you come down for the note afterwards. So I played something like that, or something like so. Now you can do it that way round. I think it sounds fine. But when I played it the way round that Ravel wrote it, in his original thing, it does make a lot more sense. It sounds more bird-like when you go, and it sounds more sad and more plaintive, It makes it challenging when you're crescendoing. So in bar 5, by the way, I do recommend you have the book open every time that I do one of these tutorials. So with the book open, we can see that we're getting louder. But I tail off on the second of those two notes. It's entirely up to you. So, in the last tutorial that I recorded, I was talking about what is classical music. Is classical music something that we perform to be very exact about what the composer wrote, or is it something that gives us a lot of freedom? Now, in my book, we have a lot of freedom. It's all about interpretation. How do we choose to interpret this piece? Now, Dorothy Pilling, for whatever reason, I personally suspect because she wasn't like one of the greatest composers who ever lived. I'm not saying she was bad, but I'm saying that this piece I don't think is really crafted so meticulously that maybe even she knew what she wanted. I think that there are some weaknesses, some structural weaknesses in the piece, but it is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. But it gives us a lot of options as to how we hold it together, how we glue it together. So it's up to you. You can either go and then go up, down, up, down, where the up is sort of fairly quiet and staccato, but in the pedal, and the down is heavier. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it, which I actually now really like from the Ravel, is to go accent and then quieter. I think that's really beautiful. Now, in the description below, I'm going to put a link to one of my favorite pianists, Louis Lorty, playing Oiseau Triste. Again, apologies if my French is really awful. And you can have a listen to just how beautifully he plays these notes. And something like that. I think really suits it. Maybe not quite that much, maybe a little less. Yeah, I find it really hard to not do it that much now. But yeah, anyway, so that's really reminds me of Ravel, that bird call. But also there's a couple of other things. Harmonically, I think this is very, very similar to Ravel. The harmonies, we've got lots of seventh chords. Like the very rich sort of French Ravelian harmonies in the bump at the end of the piece. I think it says as in the Impressionist style of Debussy. It does say somewhere on the internet she really liked Debussy, but to me this is much more Ravel's sound world. And there's a lot of places here that are just so Ravel in particular. Like, for example, here when we get to bar 31. Lots of kind of what are almost jazz chords. I suppose this could almost be Debussy as well. But places like here and then here. Oh, it's so French. It's so beautiful. But then the clincher for me of why this is, again, so much like Ravel, is there's a lot of Spanish influence in this. There's a lot of the cliched sort of Spanish harmony is to take whatever key you're in. Let's say we're in C major, and let's say we take this chord and move it up a semitone, and then move it up and down. This is very Spanish. And there's a lot of this in this piece. Let's see if I can find some of where this is. Yeah, that's one place. So we've got this F sharp dominant chord, which I'm going from bar 13. So we've got F sharp dominant, second inversion. Everything shifts up a semitone and then comes back down again. Very, very Spanish, and it does this a lot. Here, let's see, bar 19, and then here we have a semitone above the chord, resolving down a semitone. It's so Spanish, and there's loads of places in Oiseau Triste where it does this. We've got this passage here. Again, it's been a long time since I've played this. Is it there or is it here? Yeah, it's there. So this chord is basically an E major, and then the tonic note goes up a semitone. So this basically where you've got very, very Spanish. So anyway, Philomela, very, very strong Ravel influences, the jazzy seventh harmonies, ninth harmonies, the Spanish influence, the bird call, and also the whole general mood of it. So Ravel did say when he wrote this piece that what he was imagining was that this bird call floats above the rest of the piece. And the rest of the piece is like a hot, humid, tropical forest, which is filled with torpor and like it's heavy and oppressive and oh, the sticking key. You know, just imagine this oppressive heat. And I think there's something similar to that. It's like, it's an oppressive sadness in this Philomela. Oops, wrong one. So that's the kind of feel that I think we're going for. There's a lot of people on YouTube. I had a quick look on YouTube just before I sat down to record this. And there's a lot of people who play it quite fast, very in time. I don't think this should be in time like a metronome. I think it needs to feel very, very free. And again, I was talking about this in my last tutorial. You want to be able to count it out loud, so you can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I am counting. I know where everything is, but it's not bang in time. It sort of ebbs and flows. So when I'm counting 1, 2, it's like it's floating. So, you know, I don't think we just want to be really 3, 1, 2, 3. And something else that I heard a lot of people do was when they played the repeated note, do not play it so that they're exactly the same volume. You can play that so it's quiet loud, or you can play loud quiet, but I think that when they're the same volume, I just don't understand why anyone would play it that way. It's just, that's not what a bird does. It's just, can you hear that? That just sounds utterly bizarre compared to like going, or going, oh no, that's too much. And then let me do the same thing here. Yeah, something like that. Now, something else that I like as well is play around with the rhythm of this. Like, I don't think it has to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. I think that what's nice is to play around with the rhythm of the repeated note. We can elongate it. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And we can just elongate that. It's so beautiful, that, isn't it? Or we can maybe play around with bringing it the other way. I'm not sure it works, but, you know, play around with it. Don't just play it bang in time. So do not practice this with the metronome, but practice being able to count. You still need to know where the beats are. You still need to feel a pulse, but you can play around with it. Once you have it, you can play around with it. I find a lot of these crescendos and decrescendos really difficult to interpret. A lot of these just feel really counterintuitive to me. Like some of them, particularly going from bar 15 into bar 16, things like that feel weird. So I'm going to go from bar 14. Okay, fine. That feels so clumsy. This left hand just crescendoing. It feels really clumsy. But that's what she wants. And that's weird. That's weird to come down for that. I kind of want to go and then just keep on going. But I don't know. It's tricky. You know, uh, I would say that at this level, at grade 5 level, stick to the dynamics that are there. But we have to work quite hard to make this. I don't know what we do with this really. And again, it's this left hand, but just basically try and feel it. Just do your best to feel it. Don't just play loudly without trying to feel into it. So if we go, that's no. It's got to be. It's still got to be something that we kind of feel. So you have to imagine singing it. It's like you go, bum bum bum, bum bum bum. So like you actually, if you can, sing it out loud when you're practicing, because you don't just want to just bash it. So yeah, again, one of the other things that I just think, really, does that really work? Is the marcato in bar 25. And I'm tempted to actually just get rid of that. I mean, if we go from bar 23, now this marcato in the left hand is just very clumsy sounding. And again, this is all very, very Spanish. This. I know she doesn't go up to that chord, but it's like you can almost imagine. And in fact, isn't there? Yeah, you have these almost sort of, I think of bullfighting in the south of Spain with this. That, and there are some of these like dotted throughout the piece. Like, is there one here? Yeah, this. So that's in bar 14 and in bar 17. They're very Spanish. I'm almost imagining bullfighting. Not that I agree with bullfighting in any way whatsoever, but it has that kind of that cultural feel to it. So when you finish the piece, again, stagecraft. It's really important. You've got these ties that just sort of go on indefinitely. So when you finish, let's say we're going from bar 36. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you play this and you just freeze. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you slowly relax and release it. So let me show you, as if I was performing it, what that would look like. And you have to generate this kind of suspense, this feeling of tension, because the more tension that you can generate at the end, the more impressive it seems, and the more like you feel that people are going to want to clap. So if I go from, let me go from the bar before that. So I'm going to go from bar 35. So let's see. And you basically, you listen to it die away. I shouldn't have spoken just then, because like once you're finished, you come away like that. One of the keys to playing this piece really, really well, you absolutely have to do this. From the very first note that you play, and I've spoken about this, I think it's on number 4 of the things that all pianists need to do at the piano to be musical, the psychological things. This is a podcast episode that I recorded about a week ago. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. It's really, really important that you have a very, very particular way of listening to this as you're playing, which is that you listen to all the notes decay. And especially the right hand. So when I play the first note, and then I play the left hand. I'm still listening. I'm still listening to that note. It's still there. Now this A, I'm still listening to this note. I'm still listening to that note. You want to really keep listening to everything. Even once you've played it, the note doesn't finish just because you've played it. You're still listening to it. Dum, dum, da. It's still there. Da, 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 dum, da. That note is still there. I can still hear it in the piano dying away. Da, 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 dum, da, dum, dum, da. And I'm still hearing that note, even though it clashes. Because what a lot of my students do is the moment they play the left hand, it's like they stop listening to that note in the right hand. It's so important. If you want to play this piece well, you're still listening to all the notes just dying away. You know, if you think about what it's like to really be enjoying being in a forest, listening to all the sounds of the forest, all the sounds of the birds, when you're in a really good state of mind, you carry on hearing everything. You don't just tune it out and just go, oh, bird, oh, leaves. But when you're really feeling at one with everything and really relaxed and really enjoying the ambience, it's like, ah, listen to the birds. It's like, you know, smell the roses. You know, it's like you really, really appreciate every moment of all the sound, not just when you've played, not just when the hammer hits the strings. So you know, I could probably talk a lot more about this, but I think those are the really key things that I would go into. You absolutely must listen to Oiseau Triste, Sad Birds by Ravel. There's going to be a link below. It's so similar. And you know, let the pulse breathe. Do not just be 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. You know, experiment with let it float. Now that's a bit ambitious for grade 5, granted. It's a bit too much to go into in this tutorial. That's the kind of thing that a teacher can help you with. And by the way, I am available for online lessons. And, you know, at grade 5, I am thinking that it is time for my students to start getting comfortable with the beginnings of rubato, with starting to pull rhythms around. It's a very difficult thing to just explain very briefly in a brief YouTube tutorial. But, you know, I recommend that at this stage, a teacher should start helping you to make it breathe, to start to ebb and flow. But really, you know, like, use your imagination when you're playing this piece. Do not just play the notes. Imagine a sad bird. I do think this is a very sad bird. And you know, really, really enjoy it. It's a deliciously gorgeous, beautiful piece. And I think if you listen to the Ravel, you're going to get a good idea of what to do with this piece. So, anyway, if you enjoyed this tutorial, please do take the time to like, subscribe, and leave comments. It's really useful if you can help the channel to grow, because I like to help people, and the more the channel grows, the more people I can help. It also makes it more worthwhile for things like me buying this expensive microphone that I just bought and you know, putting my time in and stuff. But anyway, thanks very much for tuning in, and good luck with it. Go do some practice. Really, really enjoy this piece. Have fun with it. So take care and goodbye.